Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. This is Zakir, lecturer medical laboratory technology. Today we will learn about how to operate a light microscope and how to take care of light microscope. First, coming to the operation of light microscope, how we'll operate and how we'll view any object with the help of light microscope. So before working on microscope, you place a microscope on a even surface and which is free of vibration to view our object which is under examination very clearly, and there is no disturbance for viewing that object. And power socket to which the microscope is plugged should not be loose. Power socket should be free of any kind of sparking or any kind of electrical issue. Before starting our examination with the microscope, so we had to adjust ourselves and adjust our chair height, our microscope height, adjust our eye position with the position of eyepiece, and we have to maintain the normal condition, the normal position of our backbone. We can see in the picture that the neck position is about 20 degrees centigrade tilted and the back is straight and our legs will be touching the floor, and our hand position, it should be feasible and it should be adjustable to the table height, and the same we should
be followed for
easily
examination
the adjustment
any
knobs,
object
fine adjustment
during
knobs or coarse
microscopy.
adjustment knobs, and these are the certain positions. Kohala Technique. The microscope is usually operated by following a technique, which this technique is called the Kohala Technique. This technique is used for the optimum resolution and contrast to ensure the maximum definition of specimen detail, and with the help of this procedure and this technique we can visualize, we can examine our object very clearly, and it shows very good details of that object. So for that technique, first we have to turn on the microscope, and after turning it on, the light should be very low and its intensity should be very less. And also, in case of microscope which have filament bulb of light source, we have to give it at least 1 or 2 minutes so that the bulb is warm up and it gives us a good light, and then adjust the intensity of light. Then after adjusting the light, place the specimen on the microscope stage and switch to the 10x objective and then focus on the object which is present for examination. For 10x objective, first we have to close the iris diaphragm of the substage condenser and slightly raise the substage condenser to the top. Then close the iris diaphragm of the light assembly in the body. Then move the substage condenser down until the image of the field and iris diaphragm is in sharp focus. Now refocus on the specimen with the help of the fine adjustment and coarse adjustment knobs. Center the field diaphragm image, use the adjustment screws in the condenser, and then enlarge the field diaphragm image until it is just out of the field of view and the entire area under the observation it is enlightened, and we can see all the area it have a good light, and we can examine the whole field and the whole of our smear with the good light. Then adjust the diaphragm aperture while observing the circular beam of light, so that the light beam fills almost 75% or more than 75% of the area of the field. Adjust the diopter according to the interpupillary distance of the examiner, as we have already discussed that in the eyepiece, in between eyepiece there is a diopter which is used for setting the interpupillary distance. So according to examiner's interpupillary distance, we have to adjust that spot, and then place your forearms on the flat surface of the table while using the microscope, so that we can easily adjust microscope and we can easily focus any object without disturbing our normal sitting position. And try to look if there is a window, so that we have to see any natural object, any greenery or any good pleasant object which can change the adjustment and the setting of our eyes. Because if we permanently looking at anything which is under observation or which is under examination, so it can affect our eyesight, and our eyesight may become weak with the passage of time. So that's why we have to look away periodically and time to time during examination of any object. Coming to the principle of oil immersion microscopy. So oil immersion microscopy, it is used to identify very small object and to study very finer and good details of cells or any object which is under examination. It requires the use of specially constructed objectives with a small working distance. We will discuss working distance in a short while in the next coming slide. That we know that the air have a refractive index of 1.0, and in the light path of an object, space is replaced with the oil. During oil immersion microscopy, the distance between the smear and the objective lenses, this distance is called the working distance. So in this area, the medium is normally air, but during oil immersion microscopy, we replace this area, this medium, with a oil which have the refractive index of 1.5 or 1.6 round about. So this refractive index, it is almost equal to the refractive index of the glass slide or objective lenses. So all the medium is the same in the path of the light. So this improves the resolution of the image. The objective which is used for oil immersion microscopy is 100x magnification objective lenses, and before using this lens, we have to put oil on our smear and then visualize and then focus the smear. This will give us very good details of any object, any cell, any tissue which is under the examination. So oil is used for maintaining a same medium for passing the light rays from the light source to the object and to our eye. The image it is created have a very good details under examination. How to take care of microscope? First, we have to protect it from any kind of heat, either it is from direct sunlight or any heat source which is present near microscope. Then before using and after using, clean the microscope daily, and when not in use, keep it covered with a plastic cover or a piece of cloth. Clean the objectives with the soft tissue paper which is soaked in xylol, and then with a lint free cloth which do not release any kind of threads, which do not release any kind of pieces. So we have to clean our objectives with that kind of cloth. And we have to use the xylol with very care, and excess xylol may dissolve the cement with which the lens is fixed in the objective and may trickle into it. That's why we have to use xylol and clean the microscope with xylol with very care. And it should be noted that we have tried to not clean any objective or any kind of part of the microscope with the alcohol. Remove any dust from the eyepieces with the help of a soft tissue paper or any lint free cloth. Always use soft tissue paper or lint free cloths for cleaning of the lenses. And during cleaning, do not rub, but it should be wiped gently to protect the lenses from any kind of scratches and any kind of other such things. Switch off the power at the end of the microscopy session or at the end of the day. These are the different terminologies which is important for the microscopy, and they are helpful in understanding the microscopic examination and how an image is created. That's why these terminologies are important. Wavelength is basically the distance between two corresponding points on adjacent views, and this wavelength determines the color of light. As we know that the visible spectrum light, its wavelength starting from 400 nanometer and ends at 750 nanometer. So in this range, when the wavelength changes, the light color changes. So that's why we know that wavelength changes the color of light. The second thing is the amplitude. Amplitude, it is the vertical distance of the wave from the apical axis, and it determines the intensity or brightness of the light. The wavelength, it determines the color of the light, and the amplitude, it determines the intensity or brightness of the light. Refraction is the change in direction and speed of light rays when it passes from air to the dense medium. As we know that when any kind of light, it travels from a lighter medium to a denser medium and to a heavier medium. So the particles in the heavier medium that are very high, and the light rays, it strike with that particles or of the medium, and with that strike, the light rays are slightly refracted and they change their direction and speed. So this is called refraction. In any medium, the light rays, they interact with the molecules of that medium, and during that interaction, during that striking, these light rays, they lose their intensity. So that is called the absorption. And diffraction is change of direction by some of the light rays when enters from one medium to another medium. This phenomena is called diffraction. The magnification power, it is the power of a microscope to enlarge the image of any object which is under examination, and the total magnification power, it depends upon the magnification power of the eyepiece and the magnification power of the objective lenses. The maximum magnification power of a light microscope, it is of the size of the object, because if we are using a eyepiece having a magnification power of the 10x and the objective lenses magnification power of 100x, So 10 multiply 100 is equal to 1000. So one object is 1000 times that is magnified by a compound light microscope. Another power is the resolution power. The resolution power of a microscope, it shows us the details clearly, or it is the distance in micrometer between two structural elements that can be visually distinguished from each other. So any shortest distance between two objects which can be distinguished from each other, this power is called the resolution power of microscope. Focal length. Focal length is the distance between the lens and the point where all the rays are combined. This is called a focal length. For example, this is our lens and this is the point where all the rays, they are combined with each other. This length is called the focal length. And numerical aperture. Numerical aperture is the ratio of diameter of the lens to its focal length. This is the diameter of lens and this is the focal length. So this is the numerical aperture of any objective lens or eyepiece. It is calculated by formula, that is Na is equal to N sin U, where N is the refractive index of the medium and U is the angle of aperture. The working distance is the depth of space in millimeter between the top surface of the object which is under examination and the front surface of the objective lenses. And field of view is the area of an object that can be seen with the help of eyepiece. Like when we look into the eyepiece, we can see the area which is under examination. So this area, this whole space is called the field of view or field of microscope. Aberrations are the different defects which comes under in certain conditions or in certain microscopes. Spherical aberration and chromatic aberrations. The chromatic aberrations are responsible for any kind of color fringes and at the end of the margins of the image, and we cannot differentiate between the different color and the colors, these are mixed with each other. So this kind of aberration is called chromatic aberration. And the spherical aberration, this creates a curved images of the flat objects, and these aberrations, these are corrected by using a combination of lenses of various shapes and types in our objective lens. So that was the topic for today. Hope you have learned much about the microscope usage, its care, how the oil immersion works in the oil immersion microscopy, and what are the different terminologies which are important for to learn about the microscope. So till next lecture, hope you will understand and you will discuss it with your friends and with your all classmates and colleagues. Till then, bye bye and assalamu alaikum.